Hello, dear friends. Today, I want to share with you a personal story that I hope will resonate with anyone who has ever felt invisible or undervalued. It's a tale of self-worth, finding love, and the importance of protecting your own happiness. Let's get started. Parents favored my brother, missed my milestones for his events, so I didn't tell them about my wedding. Childhood memories, the shadow of James. Growing up, I always felt like the invisible sibling. My brother James was the golden child, the star athlete, the straight student, the one who could do no wrong. I was just there. If I achieved something, it was always overshadowed by something James did. This continued throughout our entire childhood and well into our adulthood. I remember my high school graduation. I was so excited, having worked so hard to get good grades and make it to the top 10% of my class. But my parents barely noticed. James had a football game that day, and of course they went to that instead. I sat there with my friend's family, feeling the sting of their absence. The same thing happened with my college graduation. I was the first person in our family to graduate from college, but James had a major sports event on the same day. My parents chose to attend his event instead of mine. I smiled for the cameras and pretended it didn't hurt, but inside I was devastated. After college, I worked hard to establish my career. I became a software engineer and quickly climbed the ranks. When I got my first big promotion, I called my parents to share the good news. Their response: "That's great, but did you hear James got a new coaching job?" They couldn't even let me have that moment. Finding love and building a life. Despite the constant overshadowing, I met the love of my life, Sarah. She was everything I ever wanted in a partner: supportive, kind, and loving. We decided to get married, and as we planned our wedding, I couldn't shake the feeling that my parents would find a way to make it about James. So we made a difficult decision. We didn't tell them. We had a small, intimate ceremony with just a few close friends and Sarah's family. It was perfect. There was no drama, no feeling of being second best. For the first time, I felt like I was the center of attention on a significant day in my life. The fallout. A few months after the wedding, my parents found out through social media. They were furious. They called me, demanding to know why they weren't invited. I calmly explained how I felt over the years, how they missed my milestones because of James, how I always felt like an afterthought. My father yelled, calling me ungrateful, and my mother cried, saying she thought I was above holding grudges. But I wasn't holding a grudge, I was protecting my happiness. They tried to guilt trip me, but I stood my ground. The fallout was intense. James even called, trying to mediate, but I told him it wasn't about him. It was about our parents' inability to see me as an individual with my own achievements and milestones. He surprisingly understood, admitting he noticed the favoritism but didn't know how to address it, healing and moving forward. It's been a year since that conversation. My relationship with my parents is still strained, but Sarah and I are happier than ever. We recently bought a house and are thinking about starting a family. While it hurts that my parents aren't a part of my life right now, I've learned that my happiness and self-worth don't depend on their approval. To anyone out there feeling overshadowed or unimportant, know that your achievements matter. Don't let anyone dim your light. Sometimes you have to distance yourself from toxic relationships to truly thrive. Reflections on childhood. Reflecting on my childhood, there were so many moments that should have been happy but were tainted by my parents' constant attention on James. I remember my first solo in the school choir. I practiced for weeks and was so excited for my parents to see me perform. But James had a track meet that day, and naturally my parents went to that instead. I was left singing my heart out to an audience that didn't include my own family. Birthdays were another sore spot. While James always had elaborate parties with all his friends and a big cake, my birthdays were often forgotten or hastily celebrated. One year, my birthday party was cut short because James had an impromptu practice. My friends were sent home early, and I spent the rest of the day alone, trying not to cry. The impact on my self-esteem. These experiences took a toll on my self-esteem. I often wondered if I was somehow less deserving of love and attention than James. I threw myself into my studies and hobbies, hoping to find validation elsewhere. I joined the school debate team, worked on the school newspaper, and participated in science fairs. But no matter what I achieved, it always felt like it wasn't enough to warrant my parents' attention. When I got accepted into a prestigious college, I hoped things would change. But even then, my achievements were overshadowed. James decided to take a gap year to travel. and my parents were more interested in his adventures than my academic pursuits. Phone calls home were brief and filled with updates about James. It was as if my life was a side note to the main story. Sarah, my rock. Phase C. Meeting Sarah was like a breath of fresh air. She saw me for who I was and loved me unconditionally. We met at a friend's party, and from the moment we started talking, I knew she was special. She listened to my stories, celebrated my successes, and supported me through my challenges. For the first time, I felt like I was someone's priority. When we decided to get married, we wanted our wedding to reflect our love and commitment to each other, free from any drama or overshadowing. We planned a beautiful, intimate ceremony in a picturesque garden. Sarah's family welcomed me with open arms, and our friends were thrilled to be a part of our special day. It was everything I had ever dreamed of. The confrontation. The hardest part was knowing how my parents would react when they found out. When they eventually did, the confrontation was as difficult as I had feared. They couldn't understand why I would exclude them from such an important event. My father was particularly harsh, accusing me of being spiteful and ungrateful. But I stood my ground. I explained how years of feeling overlooked and unimportant had led me to this decision. I told them about the countless times they had chosen James's events over mine, how their favoritism had made me feel insignificant. I wanted them to understand that this wasn't about revenge, but about protecting my own happiness. The aftermath. The aftermath was challenging. There were moments when I doubted my decision, wondering if I had been too harsh. But Sarah was my anchor, reminding me why we made the choice we did. She helped me see that it was okay to prioritize my well-being and that I deserved to be happy. James's attempt to mediate was unexpected. We had never been particularly close, but his call showed a level of understanding I hadn't anticipated. He admitted that he had always been aware of the favoritism, but didn't know how to address it. Our conversation was a step towards healing, even if our relationship with our parents remained strained. Looking ahead. As Sarah and I embark on this new chapter of our lives, I feel a sense of hope and empowerment. We started looking for a new house, envisioning a future where we can build a family of our own. I'm determined to break the cycle of favoritism and ensure that our children feel equally loved and valued. Reflecting on my journey, I've learned the importance of self-worth and the necessity of setting boundaries. My parents' favoritism was their issue, not mine. I am worthy of love, attention, and celebration, and I will no longer allow myself to be overshadowed. To anyone else who feels overlooked or undervalued, know that your worth is not determined by others. You have the right to shine and be celebrated. Sometimes the hardest decisions are the ones that lead to the most significant growth and happiness. A message to my parents. If my parents ever read this, I hope they understand that my decision wasn't made lightly. It was the result of years of feeling invisible and unimportant. I still love them and wish for a relationship where we can all feel valued. But for now, I need to focus on my own happiness and healing. Moving forward. As we move forward, I am committed to building a life filled with love, respect, and mutual support. Sarah and I have a bright future ahead, and I am excited for what it holds. We will create new traditions, celebrate each other's achievements, and ensure that our family is a place where everyone feels seen and valued. Thank you for taking the time to read my story. Sharing this has been cathartic, and I hope it resonates with others who have experienced similar struggles. Remember, your achievements matter, and you deserve to be celebrated. It's been a year since I shared my story, and so much has happened. Sarah and I are now proud homeowners. We found a beautiful house in a quiet neighborhood, perfect for starting a family. Moving in was an adventure, filled with laughter and a few bumps along the way, but it's truly beginning to feel like home. Reconnecting with my parents. After months of strained communication, I decided to reach out to my parents. It wasn't an easy decision, but I felt it was time to try and mend the relationship. I invited them over for dinner, hoping we could have an honest conversation. The dinner was tense at first, but gradually we began to open up. I reiterated my feelings and experiences growing up, emphasizing that my decision to not include them in the wedding was not out of spite, but out of a need to protect my happiness. My parents listened, and for the first time, I felt they were truly hearing me. My mother apologized for the hurt I had felt over the years, acknowledging that they had indeed favored James and often overlooked my achievements. My father, although less vocal, seemed to understand as well. It wasn't an immediate fix, but it was a start. We agreed to work on rebuilding our relationship with a focus on better communication and mutual respect. They expressed a genuine desire to be part of my life and support my milestones moving forward. It felt like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. James's role in reconciliation. James played a crucial role in this reconciliation. He had also spoken to our parents about the favoritism and its impact on me. His perspective helped them see things more clearly. James and I have grown closer through this process, and we're working on building a stronger bond as siblings. He apologized for not stepping in sooner and acknowledged that he had unintentionally contributed to the dynamic. We both realized that open communication and support are essential in healing old wounds and creating a healthier family dynamic. Focusing on the future. Sarah and I are planning to start a family soon. We've been discussing how we want to raise our children, ensuring they feel equally loved and valued. This experience has taught me the importance of balance, recognition, and support in parenting. We want to create an environment where our children can thrive without feeling overshadowed. In addition to our family plans, I've also taken steps in my career. I recently received another promotion, and this time, my parents were the first ones to congratulate me. They sent a beautiful bouquet to my office with a heartfelt note expressing their pride. It was a small gesture, but it meant the world to me. Community support. Sharing my story on Reddit brought an outpouring of support and similar experiences from others. It was comforting to know I wasn't alone. Many shared their own stories of favoritism and the steps they took to address it. The community's encouragement and advice were invaluable during the tough times. I made new friends through this platform, and we've created a support group where we can share our experiences and provide advice to one another. It's been incredibly empowering to connect with people who understand my journey. Final reflections. Looking back, I realized that standing up for myself and setting boundaries was a crucial step towards my happiness. It wasn't easy, but it was necessary. My story is a testament to the importance of self-worth and the power of taking control of one's own narrative. To anyone reading this who feels overshadowed or unimportant, remember that your achievements matter. You have the right to be celebrated and to seek relationships that nurture and support you. Don't be afraid to set boundaries and prioritize your happiness. Thank you for watching until the end and for taking the time to listen to my story. I hope it inspires you to always value your achievements and never let anyone overshadow your light. Please subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share your stories in the comments. Until next time, remember you deserve love and recognition. Take care.